It's the SuperHuman television show. Your guide to living beyond 100 years in good health. Now, here's your host, Carl Lanore and Tony Vanetti.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to SuperHuman Television. I am Tony Vanetti. This is Carl Lanore. Welcome to your journey. We've got a couple of shows under our belt. We're moving forward here on WBNA. We want to thank those folks for helping us give that message to you. Carl and I have been on this journey for quite some time. You might recognize me. If this is the first time you tune it in, of course, I do radio and television in town, including a radio show later this afternoon on 790 AM. And Carl's radio show reaches a little bit bigger audience than that. Carl has got listeners in every state in the country.
Every state in the country, and actually every country in the world today.
That is unbelievable.
We reach millions and millions of people. You can learn more about it by going to SuperHumanRadio.com. And these are the types of discussions we have there. They're a little bit more scientific over there for somebody who wants a little deeper understanding of some of this stuff, because we only have a half hour to deliver this information here.
Right.
But it's a great opportunity.
A lot of the topics that we talk about today and on this show will be stuff you hear at dinner parties, and you're sitting around the lunch table, and you hear your aunt or uncle is really into health and they're warning you about certain things. Well, we are here to ring the bell sometimes, not just, we want you to live longer, we want you to live better and move forward with your lives. There's no reason to feel the way you feel if it's not at the top of your game every single day. 27 out of the 30 days a month, you should feel, and I'm giving you 3 bad days, you should feel great. So this topic today is right down that category, right, Carl?
Yes. And you should not expect to develop a disease in your lifetime.
No.
That's the reality.
Don't expect it. And that's, you know what, that's a great point. People expect at some point to get sick.
Yes.
Well, you know what, if you keep an eye on it, and listen to this shows like this, that, again, take what you can use on the advice that you get on this show, and then leave the rest. Whatever you want to apply to your life is perfect.
Right. And today we're going to be talking about something that everybody's heard about, but still people are confused about.
Okay.
And that is genetically modified foods, or GMO foods. Okay?
Now, that term has been around for quite some time, but I'm not sure people understand what it is.
The first genetically modified foods were actually created around 1994, I believe.
Okay.
But today we have progressed, and we have so many crops now that are genetically modified. And we're going to put a list up a little bit later in the show. But what you need to understand about a genetically modified food, Tony, is that a genetic modification is a purposeful alteration of the DNA of the food, as opposed to what happens through natural selection. As the plant grows for hundreds of years, it may hybridize, it may change. This is when science comes in and says, hey, we want to make this plant do something different than it normally does. So we're going to alter the DNA. And the DNA is the blueprint for every cell in you and I, and in the plant.
Right.
And so what they're basically saying is, for instance, a very popular genetically modified food is corn today. Almost 100% of all corn is genetically modified. It is known as Ready Roundup corn, or BT corn. The BT corn is modified to resist the attack of the corn borer. The Ready Roundup corn is designed to resist the killing effects of a herbicide called Roundup. Now think about this. Herbicides are designed to kill plants.
Right.
So the scientists said, hey, if we could...
Herbicide.
Exactly. If we could change this corn so that it kills all the weeds, but it doesn't kill the corn, we could spray the herbicide right on the corn and not worry about it.
But wait a minute. People farmed corn since the beginning, since we came to this country.
Yes.
We're all immigrants here, aren't we? So since we came here, the Native Americans taught us how to grow maize, right? Which is corn.
Right.
Now, why would you change what you've done for hundreds of years?
Good point. Almost all genetic modifications are for the purpose of making industry benefit, not people. It's not like they're modifying these foods and saying, well, this is going to make you healthier, this is going to have a higher vitamin content or something like that. What they are doing is they're modifying it so that farmers have an easier time growing it. Oh. And that's the wrong reason to modify these foods.
The corporation farmer. Not Fred and Tilly. Oh, well, that's
disturbing. No. That's the wrong image. That's too shocking.
That's too disturbing.
We need to go back to image 4. I'm so sorry. But anyway.
Thank you for that.
I wanted to warn people before they saw that one. But okay, so what I wanted to show people...
Carl thinks he looks.
What I wanted to show people,
thank
you, this is what DNA looks like, okay? one nucleotide can be changed in DNA. So farmers, scientists will say, well, what's the harm in changing the DNA? In fact, the FDA doesn't even care that they do this, right?
Okay.
Do you know that there's one gene difference between you, I, and a chimpanzee?
Yes, I do that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's
so
true.
when you talk about fooling with genes, you are really starting to fool with nature
Right.
now.
There's no
It
question.
has unintended consequences. We still don't know. Right now, the people in the United States are a test case because we don't know what the effects of genetically modified foods are going to be. We won't know for
Until
a few
it's too
generations.
late.
Very good.
Okay.
For a few
And then
generations.
now, so we. I grew up in an era where farmers were named Fred and Tilly, and they all went out and there was a family owned. I live in Kentucky. There's farmers everywhere. In southern Indiana, my best friends grew up on a farm. So I know that in the late 80s, and you're talking about 1994, what happened in the late 80s? Farm aid and all these things to where because corporations were buying large chunks in farms. And families were going out of business, correct?
That's right.
And that's why we're talking about this today, because it's all the trickle-down effect.
And what
corporations gobbling land up to just produce
what
food.
you will be told by the largest entities in the agricultural business is that it's more efficient and more economical to grow GMO crops. But if you talk to small family farmers, they'll tell you no, it's not true, because you have to buy your seeds every year, you can't reuse seeds, and you have to use a lot more herbicide because the weeds are becoming resistant to the Roundup now.
Yes, yeah.
So there's no benefit to GMO. When we come back, we're going to talk about, are they really dangerous? And this is really an important discussion because in my humble opinion, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But if you don't know, you should be erring on the side of caution.
And you don't want to vilify the corporations either, but do we? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Superhuman Television. I'm Tony Vanetti. This is Carl Lanore. Back after this.
Superhuman Television will return after these messages.
Your body knows what it wants. It wants to feel stronger, work harder, act faster, and think sharper. Give your body more nutrients, more antioxidants, more protection, more of what it wants. Try Live On Lab's liposomal vitamin C today, risk-free, and give your body the nutrients to support your overall health, without jitters, without side effects. Order online at liveonlabs.com.
Hey, welcome back to Superhuman Television. We're talking about genetically modified foods, and this is an important discussion, isn't it, Tony?
It really is. And you know what? I don't want to vilify corporations. Sometimes they need to be pointed out when they make mistakes. But I think let's give an argument that the corporation will tell you why they genetically modified their crops, because of the population boom.
This is a great
point. And they have
point.
to feed more people, so you don't know the responsibility that we have to
this.
grow more food.
So you would assume that countries that have growing populations would embrace genetically modified foods like the United States has.
Because we have more people, they got to have more food.
Could we put up that next graphic? Beautiful. These are all the countries that have banned GMO crops.
Oh, well.
They don't even
There's
want
a
them
lot
in
of
their
people in
countries.
Japan, so I don't
Australia, Japan, New Zealand, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Greece, Bulgaria, Luxembourg, France, Switzerland, India. India's got a huge population.
India,
Thailand.
1.1 billion people in India, I think.
Look, these are the countries where the government said, this is too new to rate. We're not taking a chance with our population. But the United States embraces it.
Two countries on there, China and America. That's a problem.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a
now
problem.
think about that, right? The Americans always talk about how the Chinese exploit their people. Well, we're right there with them.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the thing to understand is this isn't a very, very new process. We have a map that goes back to 2004. I think if we could put that up real quick. It'll show you, this was back in 2004. All the green areas are heavily GMO'd already.
Right, oh my Lord.
The whole North America.
North America is like a Christmas light bulb.
Look at it.
It's all green.
This is back in 2004. We will, and quite frankly, in the past...
now take Australia off that map.
The past 6 years, yes, Australia has abandoned
now
it.
is yellow, right?
Yes, that's right. They've abandoned all GMO crops. The interesting thing about all this is that the companies that are promoting genetically modified foods are promoting it for their profit. They're not promoting it for the health benefits of it. There are no proven health benefits, and if anything, every single day there is new research pointing to the potential dangers of genetically modified crops.
Well, and you also, even if you're a farmer that doesn't use the GMO, if the wind blows some seeds into your field from a farm down the street, and it automatically just joins. Okay, you're going to start growing that
cross-pollination.
Cross-pollination. Now, the corporations will go after the smaller farmer and say, I don't care that it was by accident in the wind. You're using our product. We're going to charge you anyway.
You have to either pay them for the seeds that you didn't buy from them,
right,
or you have to tear down your crop. And it happens all over America today. This is happening to small family farms all over America. Their entire crop season is being destroyed because of cross-pollination from a genetically modified crop to their non-genetically modified crop.
Now we know what we're eating.
Okay.
What's going to happen now because we're eating this food?
Okay, so France decided that France originally was using genetically modified foods until this study came out. Dan, can you now this image is shocking. We tricked you by accident in the beginning.
Yeah.
We're going to show you pictures of rats, and there were 4 these are GMO plus Roundup or Roundup only. These are Sprague-Dawley rats used in cancer research. They are used specifically for cancer research, okay?
Okay.
They had 4 groups of rats. One got genetically modified corn. One got genetically modified corn with traces of Roundup. One got Roundup only in its water, and one got no genetically modified corn or Roundup.
Okay.
This is what the rats look like.
Well, where's the last one that didn't get any?
They only 20%. The statistics are ridiculous. The number of rats that actually got sick.
Right.
Now, interesting enough, the female rats were the most damaged with breast cancers, liver cancers, these huge tumors that cause them to shorten their lives. So the females in our population should be the most outraged when it comes to genetically modified foods because you're at the greatest threat. And the media came out against this. They said, oh, scientists have said this is a flawed study because they used a rat that is prone to developing cancer. Really? That's the rat that they use for all cancer research.
They're all getting cancer because that's the one you're using in cancer research.
They get cancer easily. So if you put something that gives you cancer in them, and that's what happened. 70 to 80% of these rats exposed to either the genetically modified organisms or the Roundup or both develop rapid growing tumors and shortened lives.
So up to 70% of females died prematurely compared to 20% in the control group.
That is unacceptable. And you are going to the store and buying corn, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to point, and you don't even know if it's genetically modified or not.
Okay, that's part of the problem is you're talking about foods that I'm supposed to be consciously eating healthy. Okay, corn. Well, let's get some corn. You can't go wrong with corn. Yeah, apparently you can. We talked about wheat in another show. We're talking about, buying products that are whole wheat, heart healthy. Now, what foods, at this point, again, going to the grocery is as dangerous as, really. It is unbelievable what I'm trying not to put in my mouth.
We're going to talk in the last segment of the show how to completely avoid genetically modified foods. It's very, very simple. But some of the genetically modified foods out there are corn, wheat, alfalfa, sugar beets, sugar cane, rice. All of these foods are genetically modified today. There is a plethora of genetically modified crops out there. Keeping track of them is very, very difficult. I think we have a list of them. I don't know if we do or not. We'll show you in the next segment if we do. But there's a real simple way to avoid all genetically modified foods. Very, very simple. And we're going to tell you what that is, but you have to wait through the commercial break.
I will tell you today, and you brought up an interesting thing about you're almost late today because the maid, you had somebody clean your house.
Yeah.
And he said something great. Why do you have to clean your house before the cleaning?
The cleaning lady. Because you don't want them
Why
to know.
Why do we have to do that?
I don't want them to know what a slob I am.
Back after this, Tony Vanetti and Carl Lanore on SuperHuman Television.
SuperHuman Television will return after these messages.
Your body knows what it wants. It wants to feel stronger, work harder, act faster, and think sharper. Give your body more nutrients, more antioxidants, more protection, more of what it wants. Try Live On Lab's liposomal vitamin C today, risk-free, and give your body the nutrients to support your overall health, without jitters, without side effects. Order online at liveonlabs.com.
Hey, welcome back to SuperHuman Television. I just want to mention something. The shocking images of those poor Sprague-Dawley rats. is exactly the reason that the French government decided to say, hey, you know what? I guess we really don't know the potential dangers of this crop, so let's ban them from our country. Let's do more research. Let's not subject our people unnecessarily to any potential danger.
Okay, then why haven't we done that?
Because the corporations that have pioneered genetically modified are American corporations.
And then they have lobbyists.
They have lobbyists. They have politicians that have friends. They have friends in high places like the FDA.
Right. So they'll come after this show?
What's that?
They're going to come after this show?
No, they won't come after the show. They haven't come after my radio show, and I've been talking bad about them for 8 years now. So, no.
All right, so what foods specifically are we talking about?
Well, okay, so we have a list, if we can put that up. This is a list of genetically modified crops as of today. Alfalfa, Argentine canola, chicory, cotton, flax, corn, melon, papaya, plum, Polish canola, potato, rice, soybeans,
so
squash.
Potatoes, so
yes,
baked potatoes.
Sugar beet, sugar cane, wheat, sweet peppers, tobacco, tomato. I think there's one more.
Okay, wait a minute. Back up. Now look.
Is that it? Okay.
Okay, stop. So French fries.
That's
Is
right.
that potatoes?
Yes.
So I'm eating genetically modified
yes.
French fries.
Yes. And tomato was the first one in 1994 that they did.
Tomato was the tomatoes that I eat, let's say at Subway or
not
whatever.
all of them.
Okay.
But most of them. The point is this: you should have the right to know. It should be labeled. You should be able to go, I personally don't want genetically modified foods, so I want to know. I mean, you don't go into a restaurant and sit down and say, bring me whatever you want me to have,
right?
And I'll eat it with my eyes closed. You say, bring me a steak, bring me a piece of chicken. But when it comes to genetically modified foods, the government, the lobbyists, and the corporations don't want us to know.
Okay, who should be doing this, the EPA or the FDA?
The FDA. And the FDA has done no tests on genetically modified foods. There are people out there who think the FDA has tested these foods and they're safe. The FDA tests nothing. They take studies supplied to them from industries and look at it and go, yeah, this looks good. We'll let the American people eat it.
Right. Okay, so now I'm going into the grocery store with my family, again, as a family that I'm trying to feed, not just my kids and myself, and I want to live longer also, but my kids healthy. When I'm pushing the cart, where am I going? What am I buying?
There's one simple way to avoid genetically modified foods, and you brought out a good point during the break. You said, what about the animals that eat genetically modified foods?
If I'm going to buy a steak, which I want to eat healthy and like a man, and I'm going to eat a ribeye steak, what if the cow is eating this stuff?
That is right. And then just like we talked about the lectins being in the meat and in the dairy and in the eggs, yes, you're right. The easy way is buy through the big O, organic. If it says organic, it cannot have genetically modified foods in it or genetically modified ingredients. If it's an organically raised animal, it cannot have had genetically modified feeds. It's so simple. But people don't want to buy organic because they go, it's a little bit more expensive. Well, guess what? You're going to spend a lot less time in specialists and doctors' waiting rooms in the latter part of your life.
Right.
So look at it that way.
So not just the fruit, and the vegetables, and the corn, and the potatoes, and everything else.
Right.
You're going to have to look at what the animals that are feeding onto this stuff, and again, who's going to be feeding GMO food more than to these crops, than to these animals that you're going to buy that they have to mass produce. So look at that. Organic, not just tomatoes, but organic beef is the answer.
Interesting enough, my generation in the 70s came up with the slogan, you are what you eat.
Yes.
Well, now we know you are what you eat eats.
Right, yeah.
So it's not just enough to know what you're eating, you got to know what is being fed to the animals that you're eating.
Yes, all right, so and again.
There is one other way too.
Okay.
There is a movement out there, and I think we have their logo, and it is the Non-GMO Project Verified. And this is an organization that is not part of a government or a specific agency that has taken it upon themselves to verify that anything that has their label absolutely has no GMO ingredients in it. The animals haven't been fed GMO. They do the work for you.
Now, when will we get that label on those packages? Why is
it's on the packages now. There are
okay.
foods out there with that label on it. You can look at it. But again, the easiest thing is to make sure that it's USDA organic certified.
Okay, so let's review. The topic today on Superhuman Television, Tony Vanetti, Carl Lanore, has been genetically modified foods, okay? And they started this in the early 1990s.
That's right.
When corporations started gobbling up farms. Remember Farm Aid and all those shows that they did? John Mellencamp, almost local boy up the road, did a lot of those shows. Well, corporations took over the land, and when they did that, they started to genetically, which is, you think is crazy. Why are you genetically changing the crops? But they started to do that in 1994, and it's no mistake that people are getting sicker and the rates of everything are going up since all this started to happen.
That's true. And the reality of this whole thing is all genetically modified foods have been modified for the benefit of industry, not for people, so that they can spray entire plots of land with herbicide because before genetically modified corn, they had to be careful not to get the herbicide on the corn. Think about the benefits of that. It's not on the corn when you're eating it. Now they can just bathe the whole field in Roundup and don't even worry about it.
Is there a chance? Well, you said the big O, which I thought is our hormone replacement show, but but organic is what he's talking about. Are there fake organic? Can people put organic on a package and it's not organic?
Absolutely. I'm sure there are farmers out there that are faking organic, but let's look at it this way. If 90% of them are being honest and 10% of them are lying, you're still eliminating 90% of the genetically modified foods from your diet.
Okay, and then the farmers market. When I go to those, they're all over town. They're at the Mall St. Matthews. They're in all churches a lot on Sunday afternoons.
When you go to the farmers market, you can't always find organic because in order to have the organic certification, the soil has to be tested and no pesticides can have been used on the soil for how long, Elisa? 10 years, right? So no pesticides or herbicides could have been used for 10 years. That doesn't mean they weren't used 11 years ago. But in order to get the certified organic label, you have to meet certain requirements that small family farmers aren't prepared to. So the key there is if you go to the farmer's market, ask the farmer that you're buying your produce and vegetables from, are these crops sprayed? Have they been sprayed with any pesticides or herbicides? A lot of times you'll find very honest, well-meaning farmers say, I can't call it organic, but we haven't sprayed anything on our crop in 15 years because they're not willing to pay for the certification.
Back after this, genetically modified foods, right here on Superhuman Television.
Your body knows what it wants. It wants to feel stronger, work harder, act faster, and think sharper. Give your body more nutrients, more antioxidants, more protection, more of what it wants. Try Live On Lab's liposomal vitamin C today, risk-free, and give your body the nutrients to support your overall health, without jitters, without side effects. Order online at liveonlabs.com.
Welcome back to Superhuman Television.
We'll see you tomorrow right here on WBNA.
Stay away from genetically modified foods.
Tony Vanetti, Carl Lanore.